Hi, and welcome to Focal Point. My name is Carla Green. I am the director of the Regional Prevention Center here at the Kansas City, Kansas Community College. And today we're going to be talking about some of the social issues that our young people face here in Wyandotte County and what one woman has chosen to do to address those issues. So with me today, I have Debbie Horn, and she's going to talk to us about what led her to do what she's doing, and then she'll give us some specifics about the program that she has written and how she's implementing that. So welcome, Debbie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here today.
Great. All right, let's start with what were the issues that you were seeing in our community? In our schools and churches, because I think you've done a little research here. What were some of the issues that you were seeing that led you to write a program for our students?
One of the issues, in the church,
okay, we
tend to do a lot of programs. And so after we do our programs and our workshops, then it's, I'm seeing like the people or the students are like, okay, so now what? Now that I've gotten all that emotion out, the shout, okay, so what do I do?
Right.
What do I do next? And a lot of these programs aren't really addressing the issues that our young people are facing. So one of the things I decided to do was go visit the schools. And at the time, a lot of the kids I had, they were either at Washington or Schlegel, some Missouri schools. And so I would take a day off and I would go visit them first, and then I would sit through a lunch period,
okay,
sit in the classroom and just observe. And one of the things I found was the kids didn't have any purpose. They didn't seem to have purpose. And it wasn't so much they were doing anything wrong, it's just something you see in their eyes and just the way they walk, the way they talk. And so I observed the interaction with the peers, the teachers. If you go on a good day, you might even see a parent in the hallway arguing with the teacher in front of the student.
Okay.
And I would just think, what in the world has happened? What is going on? And then when you start talking with some of the kids, they start telling you what's going on in the classroom. Well, we don't have any books. We don't have any homework. We can't, we learned this last year. So I said, okay, something has to be done.
And so what specific things were they telling you? And I understand the not having books, from the academic part of it. Did that relate to social aspects of their life in any way?
Well, I think so. Because back when I was going to school, we had books. Homework was required. And so what I was starting to see was, oh yeah, we don't have any homework. Or even on my way to work, you would see the students walking, no books. You see a backpack every once in a while, but there's nothing in it. And so I remember going to Washington one time and talking with a teacher, and she told me, no, we don't hand out books anymore because the students don't bring them back. and I thought, okay. I said, well, back when I was going to school, if you didn't return a book, you didn't get a grade card. And if you didn't get a grade card, it was possible you weren't graduating.
Right.
So, and then she also said, and in my class, I give them worksheets and I write their names for them on their papers, and then I give it to them.
What was the reason for that?
And that's what I asked. I said, what is the reason for that? I said, we are talking about 15, 16, 17-year-old kids. I said, so now we are taking away responsibility. And so I said, so why are we crippling our kids? So now when it's time for them to graduate, they're either short credits or they're just not prepared.
Right.
And I found that, and that was the thing. Our kids are not prepared. They're not prepared to go to the next level, which is needed.
Right.
So they lack the life skills. I found going into colleges, the colleges have now lowered the standard so the kids can get in.
Right.
They've lowered the scores. Why would we do that? Why are we not addressing these issues when we first see them?
Right. Because the workforce has not lowered its standards.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And so I said, okay, so if we're lowering the standards, okay, we are saying, oh, it's okay. It's okay that we're not passing classes. It's okay that we're not passing classes and, or we just don't have time. We don't have the time. We don't have the time because, oh, this kid is disruptive. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, why is he disruptive? What are you doing so that he is not disruptive? Right. What are you giving him? How are we preparing these kids? And what I found out was some of the kids that do go off to college, well, they come back in a semester because they were not ready. They couldn't handle the workload, the course load, because the reading, mm-hmm. the reading that's required, the discipline that it takes to get up, because now we don't have anyone telling us, right. Oh, okay, we got to get up, we got to go to class. When we go to college, the professors don't care if you show up or not. No. They've got their money.
And I will say, I can remember scheduling my classes around my favorite soap operas.
Oh, yes. So I did it too.
I understand. Yes.
I did it too. I scheduled my classes around all my children.
Yeah. Didn't miss an episode.
That's right. So, and so now we have to prepare our kids. Right. Because if we don't, we're going to have a generation, well, we already have a generation mm-hmm. that's lost. No purpose, no drive, nothing.
And what does that mean for them?
What it means is, okay, if we don't have any purpose in life, okay, what are we doing? We're just sitting around waiting for someone to do something for us, or waiting for a handout.
Right.
And so we have to get away from that mentality that, okay, we can go over to this program here because this is free. Mm-hmm. We have to break that cycle. We've got too much of that mentality. We're better than that. And I tell students all the time, you are better than that. Just because you live in a certain area does not mean you have to act like some of the people do mm-hmm. in that area.
Right. And I like that. Right. You are better than that, because I think that's an incredible message. But in the research that you were doing, and I know it wasn't formal research, but in your workings in the community, in the church, in the schools, how often do you think that message was being relayed to our students, that you are better than this?
Some may have got the message, mm-hmm. but not all.
Okay.
Because we tend to pick and choose. We tend to pick and choose. Okay, well, this is a good kid here, so I can put that message in this one. But the one that might have a few discipline problems, oh, we can't tell it because he won't listen. He comes from this type of environment or that type of environment, so they're not going to listen anyway. We're just wasting our time. So we can't pick and choose who we're going to impart things to. We have to address every child, whether that child is a 4.0 mm-hmm. student or that student that has the 1.5. We have to work with that student that's the 1.5 to get him up to that level, because they can do it.
Right.
But they need the encouragement, and they need someone to tell them, okay, you can do this. You can do this. With some guidance, with a plan, mm-hmm. you can do this.
Thinking realistically, mm-hmm. we know that our schools do not have the level of funding that they've had in the past. Parental involvement, especially as our kids get older, decreases. Parents are pretty active at the at the elementary level. By middle school, you see a few parents, and then by high school, kids are driving themselves to programs. Their parents are not coming with them. So with those things in mind, what do you think realistically we should be able to expect from the community, from the schools, from our churches to support our students, to help them to be successful?
The community, the schools, and the churches all should be able to come together and be able to bridge that gap at whatever is lacking.
Right.
The funding, cuts are being cut everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Our Johnson County schools, we're seeing it now.
Mm-hmm.
Schools are closing. So from the church point of view, the church has a responsibility to the youth. And so that responsibility, okay, what are we going to do, or what can we do to give the youth the tools that's necessary so they can function?
Right.
It's not everything biblical. That has to be there. That's first and foremost. You have to have that. Mm-hmm. But then you also have to have the other. You have to have that natural, because that natural, they're the life skills. Okay, how are we going to teach these kids how to write a check?
Right. Their
cursive writing.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, I think the district removed cursive writing. Our kids are not learning cursive writing. From what I was hearing from parents.
Okay.
Parents are going home teaching their kids how to write. Wow. And I would be thinking, okay, so if we're not teaching them cursive writing, how are they going to sign legal documents?
Absolutely.
How are we going to write a check? Even though we have the debit card, the
mm-hmm.
ATM card, but we still have to write checks at some point.
Right.
So if we're not learning these things, what are we doing? Why are we so more focused on a test score
mm-hmm.
or how to take a test when they can't read?
Right.
We have some of our senior high school students on a 3rd grade reading level. So now we want to go to college. Well, we can't read the test. We can't read the test. So now we have to take the remedial class,
right.
which we have to pay for.
Right.
And don't get credit for,
right.
So we can take the college class. Mm-hmm. So now we've spent a whole semester in remedial classes trying to catch up when it should have been done in the 9 months that the school year goes,
right.
in that particular grade. And so it's a collective effort with everyone, the schools, the parents, the church, everyone getting involved, making sure we have 100% graduation, making sure little Johnny can read, making sure little Sarah can spell, making sure we now know how to get into college and stay, making sure we know how to get a job and keep it,
right.
and be on time. So it's a collective mm-hmm. effort, and it takes everyone. One organization can't do it.
Right.
I've always said there will never be a building large enough to house all youth.
Mm-hmm.
One program cannot do it. It's everyone coming together,
right.
and we can't get caught up who's going to get the recognition.
Right. And we're going to come back in a few minutes. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we will talk about some of the things that Debbie has taken upon herself to do to address these issues in our county. So come back and join us.
There's a saying, do what you love what you do. At Kansas City, Kansas Community College Technical Education Center, you can choose from 20 technical programs, affordable programs designed to prepare you for high-demand jobs. You can be prepared for the job you love in 1 year or less. Visit us online at kckcc.edu or call today about the wide variety of technical education programs offered at the Technical Education Center at 2220 North 59th Street, phone 627-4100.
They said I wouldn't get hooked after the first hit.
Hey, stop!
They said I wouldn't get hooked after the first hit. They lied. Find out the truth about drugs. drugfreeworld.org.
Welcome back to Focal Point. I'm here again with Debbie Horn, and we are going to continue our conversation about some of the things that Debbie is doing in the community that benefit our youth. And Debbie, we left off with talking about the importance of community collaboration. And I know I brought up the issue of funding, because that's something that is often thrown out there as a reason for not being able to support our students. And one of the things that I always think about is my own mother, who is a graduate of Sumner High School. And I know, those from Sumner High School make that distinction between Sumner High School and Sumner Academy.
Yes.
But she graduated before desegregation, and they did not have money. They were using used school books from other school districts, but they still managed to come out of there with a quality education. So what is it that makes us think now that it's all about money? And is it all about money? And if it's not, what does it take for us as a community to come together and support our students?
It's not all about money. If the funding is not there, then we have to find a way. We have to be creative to find a way to educate our students. We're living in a world now, technology. So there is a book for everything. The internet, we can download.
Mm-hmm.
So everything does not require money. And then even if it did, okay, if the money is not there, we have to be willing to sacrifice and maybe come out of our own pockets to get what's necessary for the students. I know even with the churches, I've come out of my pocket a lot of times. If the students don't have it, okay, well, I'm going to go. Okay, I'll do it.
Right.
And I'm going to sacrifice somewhere so they can have what they need. So we shouldn't use that as an excuse on why we cannot educate our kids.
So you're not going to let me use that as an excuse.
No.
What is your program going to bring to the table that's going to benefit our students? So tell me about your program.
The program has been written probably for about 4 years, and it's lied dormant until now. When I was thinking about when I go to the schools and make the observations that I make, and I see what I see, and talking with the students, the teachers, okay, well, we don't know this, we don't know that. When it comes time to get a job, how do we write a resume? How do we present ourselves? How do we dress? How do we answer our questions? So these are things that are needed. That's part of our life skills.
Mm-hmm.
So the program I wrote, Boys to Men, Daughters Keepers, takes care of the entire person, mind, body, and spirit. So on Sundays, they get their spiritual. Wednesday night, they come, we get our natural. So that's when we incorporate our life skills. And for both the boys and the girls, it entails a hygiene class. It entails, for those that are getting ready to come out of school, okay, we're preparing for college, we're preparing for our careers. How do we present ourselves? It entails, we're working on our self-esteem. We're talking about diversity, because we know we don't live in this world by ourselves.
Right.
So we have to know how to get along with everyone, whether they're black, white, purple, green, polka dotted. We have to get along with everyone. So it includes diversity. It includes social skills, etiquette. There's more to going out to dinner than just McDonald's. We have to know how to use the salad fork, the dinner fork, which side of the plate the drinking glass goes on, all of that, the coffee. We need to expose our kids to different things other than McDonald's, Applebee's, because there's more out there. We've got a whole world. And so it entails all those things. It entails motherhood. What does it mean to be a mother? For the young men, fatherhood. What does it mean to be a father? We're talking about substance abuse, our STDs, everything that we need to function in this world and get along.
Do you target a certain age group?
In our church, we are starting from kindergarten.
Okay.
Because I found that the predators, they're targeting our babies.
Right.
They're targeting our kindergartners, first grade, second grade, so they have to know too. And they're coming up with STDs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how are they getting them? You know, whether they're born with it or they're being molested,
Right.
we have to educate. So they have to know too. So their class is going to be downscaled, but on their level.
Mm-hmm.
So each class it targets that age group
Okay.
on their level where they can understand.
So when students graduate, I'm assuming it stops at the high school level. So once they've graduated from high school,
No.
it keeps going. So what
still-
happens after that?
We still have to follow our kids because, okay, so now we have to make sure they get into college.
Mm-hmm.
Once they get into college, okay, we can loosen the purse string a little bit because now they have to realize, okay, Miss Debbie's not there, or my mom's not there, grandma's not there to tell me this and that. We're not there, but we're still there. We're still close
Mm-hmm.
enough. They can get on the phone and call. Okay, what do I do? So we don't just let them go.
Okay.
You still follow them. You still follow their education. Okay, every once in a while, okay, what are you doing? That's what I do. I have another group of kids that I've followed, I've watched grow up. They're now in college. And so now I said, okay, it's time for me to let you go. No, you can't let us go. So every once in a while, you know, whether it be Facebook or I'll send someone a text, how are you doing? Do you need anything? Are you going to class? Are you keeping up? What are your grades like? I want to know what's going on with you.
Right.
And so they'll call me back or send me a little note, I'm doing fine. And that's what we have to do.
Okay.
We can't just let them go because they're still growing, they're still maturing, and they still need that guidance. So it doesn't stop at just, okay, now we've graduated, now we're quote unquote grown. No,
Right.
we're not grown.
Well, one of the common mistakes I think we make as parents is doing everything for our kids. So we make all of their choices for them, we make all of their decisions for them. Then they're 18, they've graduated from high school, they go out on their own, and we expect them to be able to make their own wise choices, but we haven't taught them how to do that because we've been making the choices for them. What are some of the things that you do with young people when they're still at home and we have a little more control? What are some of the things that you are doing with them to help them to become more responsible, to give them those opportunities to learn how to make choices?
We have to, at some point, we have to loosen, as you say, loosen the purse string. So we place responsibility back on them. Okay, if you know you are 2 credits short of graduating, okay, is it my responsibility to go to that teacher and say, okay, what am I missing? What homework do I need?
Right.
What can I do to get caught up? You put it back on that kid. If you want to graduate, you go talk to that teacher. And then if you need my help, you come back and ask. And so at some point we have to let them find out on their own and do for themselves because we're not always going to be there.
Right. Right. One of the examples of that mistake playing out as an adult, I worked for another organization and I was in human resources, and I had a woman call me one morning and she wanted to check on the status of an application, and she gives me the name and it's like John Smith. Okay, this doesn't sound like John Smith to me. And so I asked, I said, well, is this your application? She said, no, it's for my son. He's not working right now, so I filled out the application form online and I'm calling to see what the status is. And I'm thinking, yeah, this is a parent who has not learned to let go. And then, you know, to make it worse, when I'm looking through the application, it's obvious that this gentleman is probably late 30s, early 40s, and his mother is still doing these things for him. And so for parents, my question is always, where do you want your child to end up? Do you really want to still be doing all those things for your kids? as adults, or do you want to slowly, as you say, loosen those apron strings so that they can begin to make those choices on their own? And when we were talking earlier, you mentioned even things like having classroom leaders,
right?
Giving them some responsibilities. What are some of the responsibilities that you would give to students in the classroom?
In my class on Sundays, I just started this past Sunday, I named three helpers for this coming Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave all the kids in the church an assignment. I said, I need you to write 1 to 2 paragraphs about yourself. Tell the church what you want them to know about you. And I need it Sunday. And so for those 3, I said, now, if you're going to be my helper, you 3 especially have to have what I asked for.
Right.
Because if you're going to be the leader, how's that going to look if you don't have what I asked you for? So when we put the responsibility back on them, and then I said, and then you have to be here on time.
Right.
So I can show you what we're getting ready to do. So that means little Johnny or little Susie has to now go to their mom and say, I am the leader this Sunday.
Right.
Miss Debbie expects me there. We have to be on time. So now mom, dad, aunt, or whoever has to get up and bring Johnny and little Susie so they can be on time, so they can be the leader. And so that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
And so for this Sunday, I'm gonna tell them what needs to be done, and I'm just gonna sit back and watch and guide.
Right.
Because I told my class by May, this room is going to run itself, meaning you guys are going to be running this classroom. And that's the way it should be.
Right.
Even at age 5, 6, 7, 8, if you show the young person what to do, they can do it with guidance.
Right. I think that is incredible. That's one of my pet peeves, is that we often fail to give our students those opportunities to learn. So I applaud you for your program. I think that's great work, and we're looking for some great outcomes. We'll have to talk again in May when you've had had a year to do this and see what's going on with your kids. I think that would be a good thing.
Thank you.
Thank you again for joining me today. I really appreciate the information and for getting it out there.
Okay, thank you for having me.
And thank you all for joining us on Focal Point. We'll see you next time.